there's a thing that I used to do in these trainings, business trainings, right? Okay. It's a 5-step process. But the first 2 steps is very important. You ever heard of unconscious incompetence?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You don't know what you don't know. So you're developing what you was taught as a child to bring it to your teens, to bring it to your adult lifehood, and to make a decision on what type of relationship you want based on the information that you was fed. Based on your surroundings. Wait a minute, let me finish. Based on your experiences, based on your surroundings, based on what you've been exposed to. And if you've only been exposed to a certain type of thing.
I can say from my grandmother being married 55 years, who also back in the South, they had back in her era, they had situations where if you were not able to sexually satisfy your man, then you send him to a woman that you're comfortable with sending him to. So at this point, grandmother, let me tell you, that was back in the South. Yeah. My grandmother has 8 children with my grandfather. My grandmother's sister has 3 children with my grandfather. Mm-hmm. So that makes them first cousins and brothers and sisters.
Hold on, baby. Yeah, are you saying that back in the day that it was some hoes set aside?
It was hoes set aside. Mm-hmm. Because what it is
where the hoes
at this point, my grandmother gave birth to a baby. During that 6-month span, she could not have children because her body was still bleeding at that point. So she could not sexually satisfy her husband, so she sent him to her sister. Mm-hmm. And that was acceptable back then.
Wait a minute!
It is not based on the way you were raised, because where I am, from me, it's a thing. I am a very selfish person.
I can tell.
Within 25 years, I don't want to know. That's why I explained to him with the situation with me being here, my husband being there, I don't want to know. I don't want to know what you're doing. I don't think that I'm stupid. I'm not stupid into thinking that I've been here a year and a half and he's not doing anything. I don't want to know. I don't care to know. Because I am my grandmother and I are 2 different women. I ain't sending you nowhere.
But now listen, for what you just said.
So you can't put him on a hose?
Because if you go into your grandmother was more open by allowing her sister to play that role. But if you go back in that same time to other grandparents and other families, you have a lot of Jim Bob has another family across town.
Exactly.
This one has another one over here. That is a norm for that time period.
Back then and during that time.
But let me go back to what I said the first time. We're in a generation, 4 generations down, away from no family environment being taught and raised. Single mothers, generation after generation after generation. So there's a lot of things that is lost on family structure foundation, open communication, being able to be accepting to things that is not so much comfortable, but you're accepting because you accept that person. Once a man decides to take responsibility of a woman, that woman can persuade him to change in things that he may feel that he wants to do because she knows him that well.
Exactly.
But that man
has to want
to. That's what. Let me finish. Yeah. That man has to want to, because it comes to a point to where if this is what she wants, I'm responsible for her happiness.
Exactly.
And I'm willing to do what it takes to keep her happy.
True.
So when you talked about your husband, you spoke more of how good of a man he was.
He is a great
man. And the reason why I say that is because he's accepting to so much that most men would have been like, you know what? Fuck it, she left me. To hell with her.
But you know what? I think it was the circumstances around the reason why I left. I didn't leave him for another man. But what I'm saying
you're talking about your one scenario. I'm talking about as a man taking responsibility.
Like a man has a decision. He makes the decision as to whether or not he wants to change. A woman has the right to say whether or not she's willing to hang in there until he decides whether or not to change. So if he decides, I'm not going to change, is she supposed to be held captive in this relationship, or does she have the right to say, you don't want to be in an exclusive relationship, I'm going to remove myself from this? That doesn't make it wrong, because he has a choice to change, just like she has a choice whether or not to stay.
Right. And everything you're saying is correct. What I'm more or less trying to pinpoint to see what I'm talking about, the responsibility of a man. Once a man takes full responsibility of a woman, those changes happen because he's responsible for her happiness.
But
now,
why can't those
wait a minute. Let me finish.
Willing to change.
The willingness is to responsibility. He's willing to do whatever it takes to make her happy. That is taking responsibility of that household, that family, and its future. Right? Now, when she said, that's not in me to cook him breakfast, he was like, whoa, this is how I was raised.
Exactly.
But I already accepted this woman. It's my fault for not knowing that she's not into this before I decided to take responsibility of her. So I must accept her. A man that doesn't take responsibility does not accept what that woman is because he didn't find out
If
first.
you go back to the beginning of the dating process, he would have known that in advance before he even married her.
Right, and
that she does not.
You won't get no
But
breakfast.
that's what I just said. He has to take responsibility that he did not research enough to find out about her.
So look,
and
because he took responsibility, because he was a true man and took responsibility of her, he accepted his failure for not finding out first.
So look, great thoughts, great perspectives.
You know, tune in to the Man Cave Show live.
Oh, and it. Yeah, you was that kid that used to just sing in front of the fan.
Yeah, but I did that.
I guess I wasn't. Nah, no, I'm messing with you. So, I know we can talk about that forever. So, what I've learned is that back in the day, they used to keep hoes on the side. Side chicks were cool. So, side chicks been winning for years.
Right.
Hey, I mean, keep it. That's where the saying comes from. Keep it in the family.
But you know what? And that's the truth because growing up, I really did not understand how.
That you came from a whole line of hoes?
No, I ain't.
I'm just saying.
But I did not understand until my grandmother sat me down and explained to me because I didn't understand how Althea was my aunt and she was my mom's aunt and she was my mom's cousin.
At the
I
same
didn't
time.
understand that. But when she explained to me that, you know, her views were, you please your husband. You are to be pleasing to your husband. And that was it. You know, you take care of all his needs. You make sure his meals are prepared. You make sure. Now, don't get me wrong. I took a lot of stuff from my grandmother that I did not because if one of my sisters had even thought about it, I'd have choked her out. But I'm just saying, had he thought about it, I'd have choked him out. But back then, that's what they did. I mean, and we can frown upon it because at that time, I did. I thought it was the nastiest thing in the world. But I also look at right now, I mean, you have men who have sex with 13-year-old girls. We want to put them in jail and crucify them because this little girl was acting fast. Yeah. But back then, my grandmother was considered a woman at 13. You see what I'm saying? So things were different. You know, times were different back then. My grandmother was married and had 3 kids at 15. Wow. You know what I mean? So it was a different era back then. My grandfather was 27 years old when he married my grandmother at 15. You know what I mean? So when you sit down and let these older people in our family educate us on what was life to them back then, you have to sit back and say, wow, you know.
So real quickly, because I want to get into this, our final subject. Why do you? I'm gonna go around the table, and I know you long-winded. So, why do you think things change? Quickly, why do you think?
I think that we all just kind of take some of the old personalities along with who we are.
Why do you think that mentality changed, as far as that being acceptable? Why do you think it changed?
Because women became more liberated.
Good question. Good point. Why do you think?
I got so many ones. For one, I ain't nobody with it.
Well, your sisters?
Hell, I mean, I'm sorry.
You can say hell.
Oh, okay. I don't know what I say, but I'm not gonna send my sister to my baby daddy because of no, and I'm not gonna go to
your sister look like you.
Yeah,
it'd be just like you.
No, it just don't work like that.
I'm gonna tell you.
For me, I'm selfish. I ain't sharing.
I mean, even though you end
some women have just become more acceptable. They accept anything.
So why do you think the change, the old school ways of where women couldn't please her husband sexually or etc. because of whatever circumstances they put them on to someone else? Why do you think that's changed in this time and age?
Oh, because people are more territorial and people speak out more. And they probably wasn't with it back then either, but somebody probably taught them that this is what you should do. And some people just suffer in silence, you know, so.
Ed, why do you think it changed?
Why has it changed?
What?
I would have to say because the thoughts are getting real. It's getting real. And it's hard for a man, well, for a woman to keep a man if there's another woman that she turns him over to that's going to do everything he wants. Then that loses the value for the woman that he's supposed to be with. You know, it's like, well, I got to go home to you. I could just go see her. You know, so it's more monogamous now.
Okay, acceptable. Foxy, what about you?
I think that it's the same. It's just a different time, different era. You know, I think that there are a lot of women out here that don't mind their man and them indulging in certain things. And it's a lot more of that going on than it is a woman saying, you know, I want to be with this man exclusively. Yes, that is good, and you will be with that person exclusively, but you have to be open sometimes to different things because for some reason men have different desires, different things that they want, and some women do too. You know what I'm saying? Some women do. I'm not gonna knock the women because we have different desires and stuff like that. So I think that the 2017 relationships is you have to be more open to different things.
Okay. Jack?
Yeah, no, she no opinion on here. No opinion.
She said no opinion, no comment. Done.
Pretty much from what I was saying before about responsibility, but the times has changed because back then also, if a man was with another woman, he didn't just take responsibility of that second woman. He financially supported that second woman. So the true family structure of a household is changed. You know, back then the men supported and took care of all the bills and everything. You know, I believe that should still be a factor today. But most men hasn't been raised that way because they've been raised by women to teach about independence and separatism. You know? So when it comes to an open family, open relationship, or open lifestyle, you have to know if I am going to step out, I'm stepping out with approval because I can financially support all my tricks, all my habits, all my explosions, activities, and not hurt or harm my household.
Leave it there.
I'm just going to say that times have changed, so, you know.
That's why?
Yeah.
All right. So we want to end this. So with the ladies being on the show, and we got the fellas in the building, I want to end this. This is a topic that I talked about on Thursday. And this topic is, I'm going to get into it real quick. So, I had to pull it up. Okay, so, if you meet someone, ladies, fellas, and this go actually I want you to, it's for the fellas, but I want you all to chime in on this, so you got to understand it. So, fellas, if you all met someone, right, and their child's father is not involved in their child's life, and there is no child support filed, is it breaking the man code to encourage the woman to seek financial assistance from her father, from the father? What breaks the man code when it comes to this? So to sum it up, to basically explain it, if me and you start dating and your child's, father is not involved in the child's life, and then now you really, the reality of it is to say financially it's becoming a strain, and now you like, what do I do? And does the man advise to say, well, I think you should put him on child support? This is real life because this happens.
It happens. It does.
See?
Now, my
So hold on. So the man's going to answer first.
I was married to someone in Oakland.